I feel like we need a pumpkin somewhere in the background. This is too much to not have a pumpkin. Please hold. Maybe here? Maybe here. You can't see it at all. Okay, well just know with all of this vibe, there's a pumpkin back there and there's a bunch of pumpkins sitting to my right. So we are fall up in this house. Fall is my favorite season, and so I am looking the part. Okay, I don't care if it's still hot here in Texas.
I want to celebrate fall.
And I think this is a really good video to make as we go into the holiday season, which I feel like is getting earlier and earlier every year. Anybody else? My goal in making this video is just to tie what I call eco-minimalism and make it very tangible. Tie it all together with a nice, neat little bow. Secondhand bow. If you haven't heard me talk about eco-minimalism before, this is not necessarily a term that I made up. I realize that it's been used to describe other things, but it's the word that I use to describe my way of living, or what I decided I wanted to do once I learned all the information about how awful of an impact consumerism has on the planet. I decided I would live this way. I titled it eco-minimalism, and that's what I'm about to tell you about right now. So what I call eco-minimalism is basically to buy as little as you can new. Because, well, honestly, for so many reasons. There's already so much stuff on this planet that is destined for the landfill. And if you use that instead of buying new things, then so many different ways that benefits the planet. So for one, you're stopping things from going to the landfill, right? We don't want things sitting in a hole in the ground, rotting away when it's perfectly usable. And so by purchasing things secondhand, you're obviously removing things from the waste stream. But for me personally, the reason I started doing this is because I didn't want to contribute to the resource demand creating every single thing we buy has. Back in the day, like literally 2011, I feel so old every time I say that. I read the story of stuff and realized that everything we buy has an environmental resource footprint. And it was at that moment that I realized I was a big hypocrite, thinking I was an environmentalist, but never repeating an outfit. So I stopped buying things for a long time. Pretty much, I don't think I bought nearly anything throughout college after I learned about this. Then once I started going into the workforce, I realized that I could buy things that I needed and could justify. I just should do so secondhand because of taking things out of the waste stream and because it doesn't contribute to more demand for more resources to make more shit. And thus, my lifestyle, my YouTube channel, and what I call eco-minimalism was born. So this video focuses on things that we should never buy new. Of course, my lifestyle is basically based on that, though I realize at times there will be things that you buy new, but these are things that you can pretty much always find secondhand. And number one is absolutely tech. Did you know the average person only keeps their phone for 2 years? What? And according to the American Ceramic Society, a single iPhone, look, listen to me. This little bitty thing right here takes around 295 pounds of raw materials to make. I don't want to contribute to that. I don't want to pay someone and vote with my dollar to say,
hey, I think completely cutting down forests, blowing up the ground, extracting all these materials, heating them up to ungodly temperatures, and then turning them into a phone, something I want to see more of. Here's my money.
Honestly, every single thing I use to run this YouTube channel has been bought secondhand, and I think it's really important to do that because we don't want to be contributing to the completely, literally unsustainable practices of the tech industry. So much more than just the resources that go into it. Don't get me started on things like planned obsolescence. So I think something we should never buy new is definitely tech, and I think that's why I'm really excited to partner with Trademore on this video, because they're a place where you can actually get secondhand tech. Trademore has a 30-point inspection system to ensure that every phone is the highest quality it can be in terms of quality, reliability, and functionality. Because if you've ever checked out some other secondhand places you can purchase tech, they rate it from kinda good to excellent. There's a range. And don't you think that everything we buy should be the highest quality possible? Well, Trademore agrees with you. So every phone at Trademore passes that 30-point inspection with a 100%. And honestly, the most sustainable thing to do is to use your phone as long as possible until it absolutely craps out. And so if you're anything like me and you're doing this, you're using your phone until it craps out, and then you're thinking, let me buy this secondhand phone from this website that's gonna have to ship it to me, it's a little bit of panic. I know I panicked last time my phone gave out on me. But you don't have to worry about that with Trademore because they have really quick shipping to avoid any impulse buying of supporting these giant brands doing these awful things for people and the planet. So the next time you decide you need a new or used phone, make sure you check out Trademore. They also will buy your tech, but hopefully you're using yours until it can't be used anymore. And then once it does crap out on you, Trademore actually has a section on their website that can help you recycle it responsibly. So check them out. I'll link them at the top of the description. Have you ever walked into a thrift store and not seen a shit ton of dishes? I think the answer is no. There's always a shit ton of dishes at the thrift store. So definitely I think dishes are something we don't ever have to create any more of. There's plenty on this planet for everybody who could ever need them forever. If you really think about it, right, your grandparents' had dishes, like they had to have dishes to eat. And back in the day, instead of just going out and purchasing new dishes whenever you got a college apartment, things would be passed down through generations. And so if you think about the fact that they had dishes that long ago and you're just replacing different generations along the way, that means all of those generations of dishes are out there somewhere and we're still creating new ones and buying new ones. Like why? Or the fact that dishware can be trendy, because let me tell you, the pink dishes I have, we actually found them by a dumpster during college move out. I don't understand, they were literally still in an IKEA box, like they were brand new. And what it seemed like is someone moved in with their roommate who already had dishes and then just was like, I don't want this, I'm gonna throw it out. Dishes are something we should just really never buy new again, because there is a plethora of them. Same thing with kitchen gadgets. Kitchen gadgets now come and go. They're trendy or they're being talked about a lot, so people buy them. But have you ever walked into a thrift store and not seen multiple aisles full of kitchen gadgets? I think not. There are a ton of kitchen gadgets at the thrift store always. And so I think for everything in this video, you should never buy it new without checking secondhand first, because chances are it is at the thrift store. And even if you just have to apply a little bit of patience, you can find it secondhand. Jars and swing top lids. I know people have been talking about this in the zero waste movement for a long time, okay? Not to buy jars, don't buy new jars, all that sort of stuff. And does it really make sense to go and buy new jars when you could just reuse the glass jars you're already getting when you're buying things, or some that you could get from the thrift store secondhand? No. So yeah, just don't buy them new. Okay, next time you go to the thrift store, count how many freaking mugs are there, and then come back to this video and put it in the comments. I need to know why anyone sometimes I do this. I am definitely addicted to buying mugs. Most of the time they are secondhand. I guess actually now that I'm thinking about it, they were all secondhand. I do have an aversion. I cannot not buy mugs at the thrift store. But that's also why you shouldn't buy them new, because there are so many already at the thrift store. I know when you look at a thrift store, it's like, oh great, all these things are being saved from the landfill. All these things, instead of being thrown away, are now here on the shelves and someone's going to buy them. But the truth is, rarely things even get sold or made out of the thrift store. A lot of things are thrown away before they make it to the shelves, and plenty of things are thrown away after. So if you ever need a mug, if you're trying to gift a mug, if you want a certain style, just a little bit of patience and go to your thrift stores. Please don't buy mugs new, my goodness. I think a lot can also be said for buying books and never buying them new. There's pretty much always a version of them where you can get it from the library, you can rent it, you can buy it secondhand, you can listen to it on Audible, you can read it on a Kindle, all that sort of stuff. Prioritizing getting books secondhand is definitely a good thing to do, because we're not, like I said, contributing to more resources to be made. Also, unscented candles for our wedding. I had a variety of different size, shapes, all that white candles, and they all came from the thrift store. I know a lot of people like certain scents in their home, so sure, if you really love it, buy your scented candles and do your thing. But if you're buying white candles for the ambiance or tea lights for the lighting and not for the smell, don't buy them new. They are definitely sitting on the shelf at your thrift store. Also, tools. This is something I'm pretty passionate about, because again, when you think about the fact that people buy tools and use them like a couple times and then they just sit around, think about how many tools are literally just sitting in people's sheds and people's garages that they bought for a project and used once, and now they're just sitting there. I don't know about you, but this happens in my family a lot. Listen, whenever Madison and I started building our Sprinter van, we still have it, you guys. I don't think it's ever gonna get livable. Hopefully one day we'll finish it enough to use it as like a travel vehicle. But I say this because whenever we started working on the van, my dad had a table saw from 2000 that he had never opened My guess is he thought he would use it, but literally kept it in the box for 20 years. And I think that happens a lot with people, especially with people in the US who have extra room to store stuff in their extra storage spaces or wherever around. They end up storing all these things that they didn't need to purchase and they're not gonna use. Number one, you can always purchase tools secondhand. There's also a plethora of those if you look on Craigslist, Facebook, that sort of stuff. Borrow it from your neighbors. Recently, Madison and I had to cut down a citrus tree. And instead of going out and buying a saw that we likely would not have to use again because we're not cutting down trees very often, we just borrowed it from our neighbor. But I think a lot of people don't think about those things. Another thing that we did, we needed to move a bunch of soil from our front yard to our backyard. And some people on the vlog channel suggested we buy a wheelbarrow. And I think about it and I'm like, why would I buy a wheelbarrow when I'm gonna use it once, maybe twice a year? And so we rented one from the hardware store. Also, like tool libraries. Can we get more of those in the world where people can come and just borrow tools like they would borrow a book from the library? Why is this not a thing? Exercise equipment. Now this might have been a little bit complicated at the beginning of COVID because we stopped going to the gym obviously, and so we wanted to pick up a few things and you couldn't find workout equipment new, let alone used. But things are back to semi-normal now. We were able to get a weight bench secondhand, not a problem. Now I don't have a kid, but I've heard from a lot of parents that we should not be buying pretty much anything for kids new. They grow out of things so quickly. Think about how fast they grow out of their clothes, how fast they get over toys and they don't want anything to do with them anymore, how fast they outgrow their car seats and their strollers. All these things, if we're buying all of them new every time, that's a lot of new stuff for every person in the world. When my little cousin was born, I remember us going to like every single yard sale and looking for stuff for her, also because it saves you money. So definitely I think always prioritizing buying things secondhand for newborns or for kids or whatever. Any age pretty much below grade school, you shouldn't be buying them anything new. That's my opinion. Anything wicker, if you just sprinkle, like I said, a little bit of patience, you can find it secondhand, I promise you. My entire basket wall is made up of secondhand baskets, Facebook Marketplace, Goodwill, all that sort of stuff. The shelf in my office, the bed in my office, everything that's rattan or bamboo or wicker around this house was found secondhand because there's so much of it. It's been around for a really long time. My wicker pumpkin, hold on, let me show you it. This guy, secondhand. No new wicker up in this house because you can always find it secondhand. Also, this is like one of my most proud thrift friends I've ever had. This is just, it's just too perfect. I can make a whole video about how frustrating the culture in the US is, or should I say lack thereof culture. Our culture is literally to be wasteful. But it is so frustrating to see that like our culture thinks that things can come in and out of trend no matter what they are, including home decor. So wicker has already been like the thing that's in style once, and now that it's in style again, it's all over the thrift store, you know? So just don't buy it new. As you can tell as I reference my parents, my perspective is a little bit skewed by what they've done, but I think a lot of Americans do this. So when I was a kid, my parents replaced their cars every 2 to 4 years. They'd sell their old car back to the dealership, get another car, and they would say, oh, this car note is only $10, $20, $30 more than my old car note. I don't know about you, but personally I like to be debt free, so like I'm trying to keep my Prius for the next 10 years, you feel me? But buying a depreciating asset like that new is seriously a bad financial decision, and also just completely unnecessary in terms of resources and the environment. There are plenty of cars out there because of people who trade their cars in, like my parents did, that you can find a car secondhand that's going to be much better for your wallet and the planet. Now, a house is not a depreciating asset in most cases, but I don't think really we should be buying homes new either. Homes can definitely be restored, remodeled, all that sort of stuff, but people who are buying homes, knocking them down to build big new houses, it just makes me sad. And I know not every house can be salvaged, but I feel like we should put more effort into doing that than constantly creating new things instead of just preserving things that already exist. I mean, imagine all of the materials that went into building that house are now just literally gonna go rot in a hole somewhere. It's crazy. I personally don't think Madison and I will ever purchase a home new. That's my intention, anyway. Pets are something I don't think you should ever buy new. I think what really I mean to say is adopt, don't shop, right? There are so many ethical issues associated a lot of the times with breeding animals, and so if you can avoid that and save the life of an animal that already exists, probably do that. The way I see it is don't vote with your dollar to bring another animal into this world while one is literally dying. That's not something I want to do with my money. And this one I saved till the end so that people don't freak out, but I don't really think that there's an excuse very often to buy clothes new. You guys, the amount of clothing that is going to landfill or to sit in an underdeveloped country, burdening the people of those communities is inconceptual. You cannot conceptualize how much waste there is because of this. I rarely buy clothes new. I always check secondhand first. And the few things that I have bought new over the last few years have been solely because people ask me on this channel to review it. And I think a lot of times me buying something new can help someone else make a decision on if they should or not. But even then, it's really only like a handful of things, and all of those things have stayed in my wardrobe for a really long time. So I was looking at this coat recently, right? It's from Madewell, it's really cute. I really wanted it, and I knew it would be a staple in my wardrobe for literally like decades to come. And I feel like when you're thinking about that, thinking about purchasing something you're going to keep long term, it's not necessarily unsustainable to purchase it new if it's something you intend to keep, you know, for the rest of your life. So I think that would be a justifiable purchase, but at the end of the day, if I can check Poshmark and it's sitting right there for me to purchase secondhand and save money and save resources, well, then I'm just gonna do that. And so again, I say, I don't think we should really be buying clothes new, you guys. Very rarely do I think there's a justifiable reason to purchase things new. So I hope this video taught you something, or maybe it was entertaining, and let me know what you think about each of these. I'm interested to see if you agree or disagree with any of these particular things I talked about today. Don't forget to check out today's sponsor, which is Trademore. Absolutely love them. Thanks for helping save the planet by reducing the environmental impact of tech. I'll link them at the top of the description, and remember, until next time, you cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that you can do. Bye, guys.